It's so many old friends, but also some new friends that I have made over the last hours. And the day is not over yet. I know that I might be a little bit tired, but I hope this energetic panel will give you some more energy. And then, of course, we're going to continue the day with some more sessions and some networking also after this. But with no further delay, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about this panel and the topic. So my name is Cecilia, as you introduced me as. I'm from Sweden originally, but I live in Mumbai, Bombay as I call it, since 17 years. And I live and breathe to connect Sweden and India. I'm the Chief India Representative for Sweden-India Business Council, and I also run Sweden-India Tech Community and a few other initiatives. I'm an investor, entrepreneur. I moved to India for the wine industry. So for you who don't know me from before, I moved to build a wine company called Sula. Now I'm no longer operational involved in that. Now I again connect India with the word invest and support people who are living and breathing the same vision that I have, and the same mission. And therefore, I put together a panel today that is focusing on, again, Sweden-India Tech Community, investments, innovation, and people that are really at the forefront of connecting Sweden and India. And I would therefore like to introduce and welcome on stage, starting off with ladies first. So Emma Rozada, welcome on stage. Emma is someone that I met about 2 years ago. At that time, she was focusing a lot on China and having business in China. Fast forward 2 years later, she came with me to India for Sweden in Innovation Bridge. And I'm very excited that Emma is the CEO and founder of Nexular and also Interplanetary Species, is now setting up business in India, and we're very much involved in that. So welcome on stage, Emma. We also have here today Sid. Sid Khullar happens to be from India, but he's someone who has a remarkable journey, now living in Sweden, and someone that I've had the opportunity to work closely with in your various avatars, and he's going to tell us more about how he is connecting Sweden and India full circle. We're very excited about that. I also want to welcome on stage Peder Wallenberg. Peder is someone that also, since a couple of years ago, has been super active in India. He just landed, if I'm not mistaken myself, back from India this morning. So welcome on stage and welcome back to Sweden from India, Peder. Can't wait to hear about what you've been up to the last days in Mumbai and Bangalore. I believe you are the board member and also the senior partner at Cohesion Asset Management, which I got right this time. And we're very happy to go on stage. Last but not the least, Konrad Bergström, who is another great human being who now spends a lot of time in India, and he's going to tell us more about that. You came to India last minute. Actually, you have something in common, Peder and Konrad, because you are very spontaneous, and you decided to jump on a flight, to come in a delegation, meet ministers and the likes, and the rest is history, but I'm sure you can tell the audience more about that yourself.
And we both love boats.
Exactly.
You both love boats. Very, very important, of course. I mean, I share that with you as well, and you. So we have more to talk about as well, but we're not going to talk about boats today. We're going to talk about the channel and the connection of Sweden and India. So, as I know these people very well and what they do, and you can see also the companies that they represent. But I would like, though, to give you all the opportunity to just quickly say a little bit about who you are, and also a little bit more about your company, because that can kind of set the stage on to the audience for them to understand better what it is that you represent, what industry, and also who you are a little bit more than just this, Emma from Gothenburg, who is now taking on India. Is this working?
Yes. Hi, I'm Emma from Gothenburg. I started my first company 20 years ago. I'm a doer. I'm super unafraid of anything. I started the companies in China. I think I have 4 of them now, from self-driving vehicles together with Baidu to proteins production that is now producing vaccines for the masses. So I'm a doer. I'm super unafraid of starting businesses and companies. Did I say I started 20 companies? No,
You started 20 companies.
Yeah.
And
yes.
now you're
and we did some exits. So we invested in several more and started.
But now, yes, but now the companies, now the two companies that we're focused on
they are the best.
now.
The latest one is always the best companies.
Yes, and I'm very excited about them. So we spent some time a couple of weeks ago in Bombay at Soho House, and there was so much interest about the Nexular. So I thought maybe you could say a few more words about Nexular and the business and what you actually do.
So what's happening in India is what happened in China. 50% of the complete EV fleet is electric, 100% in the cities. This will happen in India. So Nexular connects them to enable financial services. So we are a telematic financial fintech company.
And Interplanetary species, tell us a little bit more about this.
That's AI species for organizations learning the process of how they do their administrations and do it for them. And of course, these companies are connected because Interplanetary species run the back office, the production, supply chain management for for Nexular, but they're also a communication platform. AI species can communicate through language, phone, text, SMS, and it lowering default rates for the vehicles that is now on leasing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Emma. Sid, a little bit about yourself and the business and the mission and purpose that you represent here on stage today.
Thanks, Cecilia. Thanks for having me. My background, I grew up in India, New Delhi. Was there for about 20 years of my life, first 20. Moved to the US, went to graduate school, just like, any other Indian living the American dream. Was there for 15 years. Spent time, graduate degree in neuroscience, engineering. Worked on a bunch of things that you mentioned, including wearables, physiological monitoring, autonomous driving, fundamental AI research, and then fell in love with a Swede in 2017. Moved here in 2020, so been here for 5 years. Don't speak a good sentence of Swedish still, so please spare me with the Swedish. Would love to learn. Peder Carlson, the CEO, ex-CEO and founder of Northvolt, he recruited me out of Apple. So I was working at Apple for about 7 years while I was in the Valley and even here. And he convinced me to take on this really crazy mission of applying AI to what I think is the second most complex system in the world, which is a high-energy battery that's used in, autonomous EVs or EVs in general. I think batteries are the most underrated product in the world, in my opinion, at least. And I'm very excited that I got to do that. Very fortunate I got to do that. Live the journey of a company that was riding the growth and then also was there till the end on the path downwards. So that was an incredible learning experience. So, the craziness is infectious. So I lost my bearings even further. And I convinced Peder Carlson then to start a company again with me. And that's the company we are representing, or I'm representing today. It's called Aris Machina. And it basically means the excellence of machines. Aris comes from the word aristo, and machina means machines in Latin. And we are building what we think of as the Linux, the operating system for complex manufacturing. We believe if we want to get to a world of abundance, it will be about running factories that are highly efficient, extremely low cost. As cost of energy goes to zero, cost of intelligence is almost approaching zero. Actually, funny story. And I'll talk about it later. When I was in India a month ago, there were 2 days in a month that the cost of electricity is actually marginally zero. India produces more power than it can consume right now. Just a fact. And I heard this from a very, very, very reliable source who's very close to the power production landscape. So I'm very excited to talk about everything that we're going to talk about, and yeah, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for being here. Peder.
Hi everyone, nice to be here today. Yeah, I just got back on Friday from a week in India, and I've been to India quite a few times now, and every time I come back, I feel like I know even less than when I went. It's like so overwhelming, overpowering. The people you meet, this, the scale. I mean, just the scale of whatever sector it is you're looking at, the ambitions of the people you're meeting. It's just something that we don't even come close to here. So I think I'm probably now humbled, and I feel like I probably shouldn't be sitting here talking about this, even though I focus on India almost 100% of my time. But a little bit about me. So a couple of years ago, we decided to, my siblings and I, focus on India as a standalone allocation. I think I've spoken to quite a few people in this room, maybe last year in this session. And there was a couple of reasons for that, some geopolitical, but I mean, the other one is just that India is growing so fast at a pace that no one is quite realizing from our little corner in the Nordics. If you ask ChatGPT, give us the fastest growing country in the world on a 5, 10, 15, 20-year basis, it's in the top 10 countries. India is number 1 every time. And then out of those 10 countries, it's the only one that's a democracy. And has English rule of law. English as a language. When you sit down and you have dinner with an Indian person, most of the time you'll connect very easily, just like you do with anyone here. I haven't done business myself in China, but I've been there on a 4-month internship once, and the cultural differences are much greater there than in a place like India. So we decided to focus on India, and I decided to dedicate a good chunk of the next 5, 10 years to building the best relationships I could in India. And that's key. In India, it's what you know, but it's also who you know. Also, I needed to get my visa to go to India last week, the day before, and who you know, thanks to Robin here, giving me the hookup. 10 hours later, I was on my flight. So thanks again for that. Much appreciated.
Don't tell anyone. It's too late.
Exactly. And the fine people at the embassy, thank you so much. That was great. But so it's who you know. So I was very lucky. We basically set out to find the best people to invest with. And in that pursuit, we met a guy called Madhu Kela and his team. And Madhusudan Kela, he's known in India and the Indian capital markets as a guy who built up the Reliance mutual funds from a couple $1 million to $60 billion over the span of about 20 years, doubling investors' money pretty much every 3 years for about 20 years. And we were lucky enough to come in contact with him, and now I even sit on one of his boards, learning from him on a weekly basis. So I am by no means an expert, and far from it, and hopefully 10 years from now I'll be able to know a little bit more.
Thank you. Konrad, almost an expert. It's been about a year for you now in India.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to you and Robin, I got invited to be at the Indian Times, it's called.
Yeah, the Global Summit.
And had a speech there, and it was quite successful. And from there, we were back last week for the AIMA.
Yeah.
And I think I was in China very early, the first time, like 91. The issue that we've been talking about here is that there is a language barrier. There is also a much bigger culture barrier. India loves music, loves art, loves English, are hungry, and maybe are not that educated in doing brands and design, which is good for me because that is my special knowledge, so to say, to build brands and do concepts and so on. So I moved to New Zealand when I was 16 to become a professional windsurfer. Didn't really, but I started up Thule roof racks in New Zealand and Australia. came back home, didn't really go to school, had a surf shop, and started a lot of like different distribution brands like Quicksilver, Volcom, Burton Snowboards, and 50 others, and learned how to build trends and demand for products. Took that into a company called WSC that took from 40 million to 400 million in 3 years, and jumped off and started a company called Sound Industries at the time, now known as Marshall Group, which is my first unicorn. It was sold 5 years ago to Hongxin Capital in China, and we did headphones and speakers. Sweden's quickest growing company in history, yeah, now I started to do electric boats, so it's called Xshore, where we are the world's largest brand within that. We have a big factory in Nyköping that is the only dark green Cicerone stamped sustainable factory, and we do it more like cars, so we can make more money when volume comes. And I'm actually looking into getting back into fashion tech, so I'm on a mission to start a new company that I will talk later about. But it's quite exciting times.
Yes, and I believe, in particular with your fashion tech company, when you were there at IMA, the All India Management Association, their annual big conference, the feedback that I got from there was that the excitement was in particular around your fashion tech company now. So I'm sure.
It's actually something that I know on my 5 fingers, and then it's like, am I getting too old to make fashion tech? And well, you can use other persons to front a company, I guess, and I can be behind and help out with everything that needs to get done. Yeah, time to pick up the phone.
Time to do fashion tech, and you're not getting old, I'll tell you that. Because India, there's always a time for things in India if you put your mind to it. And I thought that could also lead us to the next question, which is kind of around why India and around why now, because of course with Emma, you spent a lot of time in China, but it could be interesting for the audience, I believe, to understand why this shift, why you suddenly now, moving your whole business, potentially your whole family, including your horse, to Mumbai.
Yeah, you could say why India or why SIBC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we went to this journey with SIBC, innovation trip, visited 3 or 4 different countries, cities in India, almost 3 different countries.
That's like what it is.
And saw that this market is exactly the same mentality as when we started 15 years in China. So the people was racing, it's a very entrepreneurial, we implement plenty of entrepreneurs. They say, this is our time, we will make impact. And even you smelled the smog, same in China 15 years ago, and felt that this is the environment I love to be in. When things is happening, the whole country is lifting, and I love to do products for the masses in big quantities. So that's why India, but that's thanks to SIBC.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, thank you. Sweden-India Business Council, thank you so much. We didn't plug that one in, but you're probably the first one who says, though, that you're excited to feel the smog, because that's probably the one thing that is starting to bother me.
Nostalgic, that, wow, this will change.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's a good way to look at it. I'm going to be more excited about going back next week. But that's amazing, and we're very excited to have you in India, and the response already with Nexular. I think there's a lot of learnings. I met a few people in the room today or outside, and they were talking about it's just so difficult to set up business in India. And I said, well, it's maybe not easy, but if you know the right people and you navigate it right, and they're like, no, you need to have an Indian partner, but it's that bad? It's probably, and it's not that you can't find that Indian partner. There are actually ways that you I don't know if you can say that, openly, but you were like, you need to have that Indian partner.
You need to have an Indian resident to start a company in India, and you also need to have 2 shareholders. You can't start by yourself.
Yeah.
And resident director, there is a company called Startup Gigs that found out that this you can make business on. So you just text on WhatsApp, and you get the resident director, one of the founders. You pay them 3,000 crowns per month, and they are super happy, and we are happy.
Yeah.
Regulations fulfilled.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be so complicated. And of course, Sweden Indian Business Council have been part of navigating the whole journey. But, it's a success story. And I'm excited to have you in India and following your journey. And very excited also at the time when your horse comes to Mumbai. We have Sid, of course, we talked about it earlier. He has an Indian origin now in Sweden. And you're kind of having some kind of a full circle happening. Can you tell us a little bit how you're feeling about this whole shift and why India is so exciting for you right now, again?
Yeah, when I moved away, every Indian who leaves home, leaves family, has this thought like, do I feel guilty about leaving, family back? And it was, you always sort of push it to the back of your mind, and because you have a mission, you have a goal to pursue. And I'm sure a lot of my Indian friends here in the audience feel the same way. So it was nothing short of that for me either. But this whole circle, I mean, it's, I believe in fate and destiny. So this is a self-fulfilling prophecy in some way, where I moved to the US, spent 15 years, kind of learned the capitalism art of doing business, came to Sweden, very, socialist country, but almost has hacked capitalism in a way that really works for the world, works for Sweden in almost every way, and works for the residents because of the high taxes. So I love living here. I don't think I'm moving to India, but never say never. But then now the business I'm in, most of my customers, the big average customer value, ACV, high ACVs, are in India. It's the big 5 in India, the big 5 industrial houses that are going big into energy, into manufacturing, investing in reindustrialization or frontier tech industrialization, building batteries, building semiconductors, assembling phones, everything that requires very, very high precision. And one thing you learn in India is there is always a way. There's a Hindi word for the English word hustle. I think that word has now made it to the Oxford Dictionary. I don't know how many of you in the crowd know what I'm
It's my favorite word.
Yeah, it's pronounced jugaad. And it literally means hustle. But it's very Indian hustle. And anyone who wants to do business in India needs to learn that Indian hustle. And it just happened, and if I can tell a very quick story, we presented to one of the largest industrial houses in India, the chairman, and my co-founder was presenting to him, and he was really the chairman was really trying to focus because I think he's a native Gujarati speaker, the chairman, and he was trying to really catch through all the slides and really focus. And Peter very quickly realized that he has to switch something in the presentation. And we had not planned. He walks up to me middle of the presentation. Now you go present in Hindi. And I go like, what? And that was Peter's jugaad. He had adapted himself that he's going to improvise because he was reading the room and he said, okay, now time to switch languages. So I stood up and we presented in Hindi and the attention was back in the room. And I was switching between Hindi and English. So this is an example of folks who want to do business in India. You need to have a few aces in the back pocket and be ready to pull them out anytime. And of course, you need to know the right people. I think you've learned this the right way. But I think with bridges like these, it's very, very exciting that some of that friction really drops significantly. Moving to India is easier. and setting up business in India is easier. There's always a way.
Yep, if there's a will, there's a way, 100%, and that's India. Peder, a little bit from you in terms of why India and why now. We spoke last week about the fact of that people are also questioning India. Is it the right time? What's happening? This, that, and the other. But from you, is it the right time?
That question drives me nuts.
I know, that's why I thought you.
Is it the right time? I mean, I think this room is probably everyone probably has the same view on this. I think this is a self-selected group, but you see all these things happening in the paper. Trump says this, Modi says that. Tariff on tariff. But, and most people just say this like, oh, it looks like India, like that's a volatile place. I wonder if that's a good place after all. But like, there's a difference between optics and substance. This year is such a strange year for a lot of reasons, but the whole tariff or Trump diplomacy is the main one. And, for those who aren't so familiar with India, doing business in India, investing in India, to them, it looks like, oh, India, maybe it's not so good. But if you go to India and you talk to the Indian entrepreneurs or you talk to the promoters or the investors in India, it's like, India is going to be growing anyway, regardless of what's being said or being tweeted. I think it was Goldman that came out saying that, okay, let's play out the scenario of the double tariff. Let's just assume for a second that the double tariff that Trump was saying is not, let's just say that is not a negotiation tactic, right? And let's just say that holds. If that holds, the GDP growth will be, instead of 6.5%, it'll come down to like 5.9, which will still world-beating GDP growth. And that's for a variety of reasons, one of which is that India is very much a self-reliance story, internal consumption story, and not just an export story. And even though it does export, it exports to a variety of partners and several sectors which are exempt from the tariffs. So on the surface, you think that this is some volatile country. I wonder if this is a good long-term bet. This is an unbelievable bet. If you do your homework and you go there and you meet the right people, you will realize that building the relationships in India now that's not like a 20-year investment. That's like a 3-year investment. So for us, it's it's everything that's happening right now is all noise leading to what will hopefully be a bilateral agreement, which will then calm down the markets and everyone can focus on the good work again. But yeah, so that was a short answer.
Thank you. Great answer. Konrad, same question to you. I mean, you've been working with many different parts of the world for many, many years, but why India and why now? What's make it so exciting for you?
Well, India has always been attractive I think the culture and the people is one thing, but being able to communicate with them is very important. And the main language is English. But I also see, when we met with the Prime Minister, that they're speaking about India becoming the world's biggest economy by 2035. It's not very far away. And then when you go to the country and you see, like, sorry the word, but in one way, when you're from Sweden, where everybody has an identical number and so on, a little bit chaos, is everybody registered and so on, you see that the potential is actually much bigger. And it's a democracy, and it's a place where they are ready to grow. There is many parts in the world where it's a higher risk because the country is not ready. But when you talk with the politicians, they have a very set plan, and they are doers, and they are not afraid of being accused that they would be taking brides. They are actually just doing their job. Like, what can we do to help you to be more successful? How can we do business? And in many other countries, I've done business in over 100 countries, there is always a challenge to start to do business because the culture is not there and the country is not ready for it. But I believe that India is, and I've seen it with my own eyes, and it's also that that people want to do business, and they are ready to actually put in the man work to make it happen. Because in many places there is a lot of talk, but there is not so much doing.
Mm-hmm. No, that's one thing that I always feel with India as well. I mean, I also am a bit of a person who doesn't take no for an answer. But again, if you really want it to happen, you can make it happen. But sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I'll give India that as well. And I thought not all of us may be covering that, but of course there are not only opportunities, there are challenges. And I feel that we do have some people in the room that represent government, and they represent, some of the various organizations that could potentially make it smoother still to work in India. Or this maybe, Sid, do you see any kind of challenge that you would feel that there could be some support from any other government sides or anyone? So not only opportunity, maybe a challenge. Like, we don't have that much time, but one challenge is to highlight that and see if we can solve it.
I think in the next 3 to 5 years, if India or the Indian government or the Indian corridors for startups, if we can figure out how to let companies establish temporary presence in India to test waters without having to go through, the red tape. And then there's a lot of corridors, but not everyone knows about it. There is fees attached to it. So, I call it like the temporary company visa to India. So you don't allow a person, you allow a whole corporation to establish for 5 years. And they pay taxes, typical corporate tax, all that, right? No subsidies, just let them come in, test the waters, and leave or stay for the long term if they need to. I think that'll be pretty cool. I think that'll open up world for startups. And I'm known for coming up with these crazy constructs that are extremely hard to do policy-wise, but this is simple, I think.
Yeah, I think this is a good one that we should bring back to the embassies, respected, that we have representation from both, and also the various organizations. I see that. There's also, for example, like I'm an investor, so I see that they could make it a little bit smoother, the whole transaction of money from Sweden to India or India to Sweden. But of course, there are ways as well. But you can actually invest in India through potential. I mean, I'm looking at you, Peder, actually with Cohesion. The way that you also have money coming into Cohesion and the investment into India. It's not necessarily directly to India, so maybe you want to just highlight on ways that you figured out also.
Well, I think as an investor, it's investing into India. I mean, if you're a passive investor, I'm not talking about if you're going there, starting a company and doing that, then, but if you're just an investor, if you just take the stock market, which is highly regulated, as a foreign investor, it is easy to get your money in and easy to get your money out. There's a standard, most funds, I think, like if you go to the SCB and you go to invest in the India fund, the Goldman Sachs fund, for example, then that'll be through like a Singapore feeder into the country. And that's how everyone does it. It's like Abu Dhabi, Singapore, Luxembourg. India is now doing a big initiative called Gift City in Gujarat, where basically creating all the infrastructure there and attracting the capital there. And to have a sort of a free zone. And that's like one of these kind of make in India focus and bringing everything kind of in-house under one roof. So that's a great initiative, and they've really put a lot of resources behind it. So
No, we're quite. And I think Sid wants to cover a few bits, because we work closely with also people that were behind the idea of Gift City, and I do see there is a lot of opportunities with that. We did have a delegation from Gift City here about a year ago. That's definitely one route, and it's good that you have identified all these different opportunities in India, and we want to learn more about what it is that you're doing and how you're investing further in various.
If anyone wants to, I sit and I talk to companies. I do site visits. We meet with funds. And if anyone has any sort of interest in this sort of thing, I mean, you can even go on Avanza, and there's an India fund. I have nothing to do with that fund. And you could happily buy that fund, and then 10 years from now, I think you'll have made a very wise decision. But you have to take that kind of view. I think most people, if you just go in uninformed without having built the conviction and you invest, you will pull the money out because there's so many opportunities everywhere, and naturally you favor your own home market because that's what you know. So build the conviction and then find the right people to do the investments you want to do.
Yeah, Sid, you were...
I was just going to remark that the Gift City is such a great initiative. We are thinking of looking at setting up shop through that when we grow in India, which is looking likely in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, sounds good. That's great. And soon there's going to be a bullet train from Mumbai to Gift City. It's going to be like 2 hours. And a friend is actually setting up, and a common friend of some friends in the room, a tech city within Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, where they're also going to have some licenses. So for you also like to have a glass of wine from time to time, you're going to be able to actually enjoy a glass of wine in this tech city very close to Gift City, because that's been a bit, even in Gift City now, they're also having some regulations.
Yeah.
I mean, if people like wine and gin, but I do know that Konrad likes gin as well, because you're an entrepreneur doing that as well. We don't have that much time, and we're not going to talk more about Gift City and wine, but we're going to wrap up this discussion. And I mean, we've spoken about your connection to India, about the challenges, opportunities. We even spoke about recommendations. We just don't, this actually ran really, really fast. You were talking about your businesses, but maybe some few last words from all of you on things that you just generally want to share with the audience. It could be in recommendations, it could be some last word, asking for business, asking for anything for that matter. So I'm just going to give all of you the mic and close this, and I will try to get 1 minute more for a Q&A, because it's such a great audience, and we would like to just have another 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
I want to quote Robin. Seeing is believing. If you're planning to go to India, go there. If you haven't been there, go there. SIBC, your trips and your network is amazing. Take that advantage. I don't know any one organization worldwide that has better connections. Seeing is believing. Go there. Your mind will be blown away, and then you want to establish a company, even if it's difficult. But it's not. It's just paperwork.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you, Emma.
Yeah, I think I would say I want to see even more bold bets in India. You were talking about trains. I think Gift should have autonomous human carrying air taxis.
Yep.
Like that should be the goal. Is how do you get from the Ahmedabad airport to the Gift City in under 30 minutes?
Yeah.
That should be the goal. And someone from around the world should go buy assets of a bankrupt drone company and go start that in India. Like that's the level of thinking we need.
100%.
And this would be my single suggestion, that Indian entrepreneurs need to punch way above their punching weight, and that's when they'll hit.
I agree.
Seeing is believing. You have to go there. I go there quite a few times, and anytime I go, including last week, I am in awe every single time. I went to a site visit last week, which just blew my mind in Bangalore. It was a supplier to Boeing and Airbus. And today, the entire global board of Airbus is at the same site, doing the same thing that we did last week, because they were also in such awe that a company, it's listed, but it's a small family company, small, but that they have technical expertise that no one else can figure out how to do. And so Boeing, Airbus, Bell Helicopters are sourcing so many parts, and I believe even some fighter jet companies from this region are doing the same thing. So it's just, going to India, it's not just one thing. It's not just pharmaceuticals. It's not just tech. It's just so many things, and it's just the scale is just, you have to go there.
Yeah, and I agree with what everybody said, and I see also a thing that nothing is impossible. People are really hungry, and they want to do stuff, and that's quite rare to find in the world right now. There is a lot of people who's quite fat and happy, even in those times where everybody should really start working. And I would also like to put a little eye on what blew me away is the handcraftsmanship, because in China it basically disappeared, but in India I see that they very much have the high tech, but at the same time they kept a lot of the traditional handcraftsmanship. And if you can, which is our idea, to kind of combine these two, you could have some very, very interesting products for the future.
If any of you is planning to build robotics, humanoid robots, I was telling a friend, India is the best place to take your robots, turn the sensors on, and watch the handcraft labor work. That's the largest imitation learning data set on the fly in the world, to your point.
I think there's definitely a lot of businesses here that is going to also come out of the discussions in this room as we continue today. We won't do any Q&A now. Yes, Sanjo, we will do it after. We will do it outside. We'll continue the discussions. If you do want to join us to India, we do have a delegation 3rd to the 7th of November, Sweden-India Innovation Bridge, with very much focus on AI, innovation, robotics. There might be some visit to Airbus. There will be some visit to an AI, robotics and tech park. Of course, many of you have been a part of these delegations and journeys before, so you're more than welcome to talk to me if you want to come to India. Thank you, Sanju. Thank you, everyone who made this happen today. And thank you so much to this fantastic panel and you for continuing connecting Sweden and India, the Nordics and India with the world. And I cannot wait to see you back home in India in the next months and continue building businesses and investing and creating opportunities in this fantastically interesting corridor. Thank you once again.
Thank you, everyone. We'll just take a short break and welcome for some coffee now. Talking about drinking something, maybe eating something.